Hey there. Ready to dive into some seriously fascinating
Oh,
territory?
yeah.
We're talking about the
Mm.
kind of stuff that blurs the lines between
Mhm.
science and spirituality, where ancient mysteries meet
Yeah.
cutting-edge research. Today
Absolutely.
we're exploring the world of scalar waves
Okay.
and their potential impact on DNA.
All right.
Our guide on this journey is Dr. Sandra Rose
Mm.
Michael,
Mhm.
a doctor of integrative medicine and biophysics.
Wow.
And we'll be unpacking an interview she did on the Think Tank
Okay.
YouTube channel.
Cool.
Buckle up.
Uh,
This deep dive is going to be wild.
it really is. And what makes Dr. Michael's perspective so unique is her background.
Oh, yeah.
It's not every day you meet a scientist who grew up building transducers and experimenting with levitation.
Right. Her parents were physicists who actually honeymooned at Tesla's Niagara Falls power plant.
Yeah.
Can you imagine growing up surrounded by scientific equipment like that? I mean, talk
Carrollton.
about an unconventional childhood.
It's almost like something out of a science fiction movie. But think about it, growing up, immersed in that kind of environment with Tesla's groundbreaking ideas swirling around her.
Yeah.
It's no wonder she became fascinated by scalar waves. You could say her path was almost preordained.
Okay, so let's get to the heart of it. What exactly are scalar waves?
hmm
And why should we care?
Well, think of the waves you're familiar with, light waves, for example.
Okay.
They move up and down transversely.
Mm-hmm.
Scalar waves, on the other hand, are longitudinal, meaning they move like a pulse, a compression and expansion, kind of like sound waves traveling through the air.
Gotcha.
Now, what makes scalar waves so mind-boggling is the idea that they might be the very fabric of reality, the underlying structure that shapes everything from galaxies to hurricanes to even the spiral of a seashell.
Whoa, hold on. So you're saying these invisible waves could be the blueprint for the entire universe?
hmm
That's a pretty huge concept to wrap my head around.
It is, and it's a concept that Dr. Michael, along with Robert Edward Grant,
Okay.
the host of Think Tank, explores in depth. Grant has written extensively about the potential of scalar waves, suggesting they could be the missing link in understanding how energy and consciousness interact to form our reality.
That's where it starts to get really intriguing for me. If scalar waves are this fundamental force, could they also have the power to influence our bodies? Maybe even heal us?
That's the question that drives Dr. Michael's work. She's convinced that scalar waves have the potential to revolutionize healthcare, and she's even invented a device called the Energy Enhancement System, or EE, that's designed to harness these waves for healing.
I've heard about the EES. It's that device that looks like a swirling DNA molecule, right?
Exactly. And the visuals are just the beginning. Dr. Michael claims that the EES system can counteract the negative effects of what she calls scalar weapons, which are essentially harmful frequencies that disrupt our natural energy fields. She believes the EES can realign our DNA to its original divine matrix, which is basically a blueprint for optimal health and well-being.
Okay, now I'm definitely curious. So how does it work? What's the science behind this divine matrix and the idea that we can realign our DNA with scalar waves?
That's where things get really interesting. Dr. Michael utilizes a fascinating blend of science and ancient wisdom in her approach. The ES system incorporates principles like Fibonacci sequences,
Okay.
sacred geometry,
Interesting.
and even specific frequencies like the Schumann resonance, which is kind of like the Earth's heartbeat.
So it's almost like a symphony of energy and intention working together to harmonize our bodies at a cellular level. I'm starting to see how this could have profound implications for healing.
Absolutely. And one of the most fascinating aspects of Dr. Michael's work is her discovery of a binary code within DNA.
A binary code, like the ones and zeros that computers use.
Exactly. Through a process called digital root analysis, Dr. Michael found that the number of protons in the elements that make up DNA form a recurring pattern of ones and nines,
Right.
essentially a binary code. This suggests the DNA might be far more complex than we currently understand, almost like a biological computer program.
Wow, that's pretty mind-blowing. So if DNA is like a code, could scalar waves be the key to unlocking its full potential? I'm starting to see how this all connects.
You're on the right track. And what's even more fascinating is that both Dr. Michael and Robert Edward Grant, working independently, arrived at the significance of the number 24 in relation to DNA and its potential. Dr. Michael suggests that DNA might not just be a double helix, but a structure with the potential for 24 strands. And Grant's research into the mathematical properties of prime numbers and their connection to the flower of life seems to support this idea. It's a fascinating idea, isn't it? This convergence on the number 24. And it gets even more intriguing when you consider Grant's research on the pyramids.
The pyramids. You're going to tell me there's a connection to the number 24 there too, aren't you?
You know it. Grant has spent years studying the geometry of the Giza pyramids, and he discovered something pretty remarkable. The slope angles of the pyramids, when you analyze them mathematically, correspond to a 24-note musical scale. He calls it the holy grail of geometry, and it suggests that the pyramids might have been designed as giant resonators capable of harnessing and transmitting scalar waves.
Hold on. Are you suggesting that the pyramids were built to manipulate scalar waves? What would be the purpose of that?
Well, that's where things get really speculative, but it's a question worth considering. Grant proposes that this global network of pyramids strategically placed along what are known as ley lines could have been used to create a scalar wave entrainment field, influencing human consciousness and potentially even facilitating a 24-strand DNA state in ancient times.
So you're saying the ancient Egyptians might have had a far deeper understanding of scalar waves and their potential than we do today.
Yeah.
It's almost like we've lost touch with a knowledge that was once commonplace.
That's one way to look at it, and it ties in perfectly with Dr. Michael's work. Both she and Grant seem to be converging on the idea that there's a hidden order in the universe, a deeper reality that we're just beginning to rediscover.
And this hidden order is somehow connected to the number 24. I'm curious, what is it about this number that makes it so special? Is it just a coincidence, or is there something more to it?
Grant delves into some pretty complex number theory to explain the significance of 24. He discovered that prime numbers, which are the building blocks of all other numbers, have a curious relationship to 24. Specifically, when you square any prime number greater than 5, the result is always a multiple of 24 plus 1.
Right.
It's a pattern that he believes reflects a deep underlying order in the universe, an order that's mirrored in the structure of DNA and the potential for its activation.
Okay, I'm trying to follow you here, but I have to admit the math is getting a bit over my head. What does all this number theory have to do with healing and human evolution? How does it connect back to the listener's experience?
That's a great question, and it's where the rubber meets the road. Grant believes that these mathematical principles, particularly those related to the number 24, are directly correlated to the structure of DNA and its potential for activation. He also suggests that certain frequencies, like the 528 Hz frequency associated with DNA repair, could be key to unlocking this potential.
So are you saying that by using specific frequencies, we can potentially influence and even activate our DNA? And that's a pretty big leap, isn't it?
It is a big leap, but it's an idea that's gaining traction in certain circles. And it connects back to the ancient concept of sound as a healing modality. Think about the use of chanting mantras and sacred music in various spiritual traditions. Perhaps there's more to it than just a placebo effect. Maybe these practices were tapping into something real, something we're only now beginning to understand scientifically.
That's fascinating. It makes you wonder if we could harness these frequencies maybe through technology like the EES system or even through specific types of music. Could we actually influence our own evolution? Could we help humanity take a leap forward?
That's the exciting part. Both Dr. Michael and Grant are pointing toward a future where we might be able to consciously influence our own evolution, moving from Homo sapiens to Homo sanctus luminus, as Dr. Michael puts it. Imagine a world where we can tap into our full potential, not just physically, but mentally and spiritually as well.
Beings of light. It sounds fantastical, but then again, so much of what we've discussed today has pushed the boundaries of conventional thinking. If we really tap into this potential, what would that look like? What changes might we see in ourselves and in the world around us?
Well, Dr. Michael has collected some pretty remarkable testimonials from people who have used the EEE system. They report experiencing increased energy, enhanced intuition, accelerated healing, even profound spiritual experiences. If these accounts are even partially true, then the possibilities are truly mind-boggling. Imagine a world where illness is rare, where we live in harmony with nature, and where our consciousness is expanded beyond anything we can currently imagine.
It feels like we've been walking this line between scientific inquiry and almost spiritual exploration. What strikes me is how both Dr. Michael and Grant,
Yeah,
coming from different backgrounds,
totally.
seem to arrive at this idea that science and spirituality aren't necessarily opposing forces.
It's like they're both piecing together different parts of the same puzzle. And the bigger picture that's emerging is one where consciousness, energy, and even the fabric of reality are all interconnected in ways we're only beginning to grasp. It challenges us to rethink some of our fundamental assumptions about how the world works.
Exactly.
Yep.
It makes you wonder, what if we could fully embrace this interconnectedness? What possibilities might open up if we could tap into this deeper understanding of reality?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The potential implications are staggering. Imagine a world where healing isn't limited by our current understanding of biology, where we can access and harness the untapped potential within our own DNA. Think about the possibilities for human consciousness, for creativity, for spiritual growth.
It's almost overwhelming to contemplate. We're talking about a paradigm shift, a fundamental change in how we view ourselves and our place in the universe.
Yeah.
It's a bit daunting, but also incredibly exciting.
It is. And perhaps this shift is exactly what we need. Our current trajectory, with its emphasis on materialism, separation, and unsustainable practices, doesn't seem to be leading us toward a very bright future. Maybe these emerging ideas are a wake-up call, a reminder that we're capable of so much more.
So where do we go from here? For the listener who's just starting to grapple with these concepts, what's the first step?
Yeah.
How do we even begin to integrate these ideas into our lives?
I think the first step is simply being open to the possibility, opening ourselves to the idea that there's more to reality than what we can perceive with our five senses,
Right.
and that ancient wisdom and modern science might not be as contradictory as we've been led to believe.
It's about bridging that gap, recognizing that both science and spirituality offer valuable insights into the nature of reality. And maybe, just maybe, we have the power to influence our own evolution, both individually and collectively, to create a future that reflects our highest potential.
It's a journey worth taking, wouldn't you say? A journey of exploration, of self-discovery, and ultimately of co-creation. We have the opportunity to shape our own future and perhaps the future of humanity by embracing these emerging understandings of consciousness, energy, and the interconnectedness of all things.
This deep dive has certainly left me with more questions than answers, but that's not a bad thing. It sparked a sense of wonder and possibility. If our bodies truly are condensations of consciousness and light, as Dr. Michael suggests, then who knows what we're capable of achieving? What if we could tap into that light within ourselves, amplify it, and use it to create a more harmonious and enlightened world?
That's the beautiful thing about these concepts. They invite us to question, to explore, and to dream big. It's as if we've been handed a new set of lenses through which to view the world, and the possibilities seem endless. As you move forward, consider this. What if the merging of ancient wisdom, like the knowledge embedded in the pyramids, with modern science, is the key to unlocking our true potential? What steps can you take to integrate these ideas into your own life? That's something to ponder as we conclude our deep dive into the world of scalar waves and DNA. Thanks for joining us, and keep exploring.